Greetings, everyone. This is Rabbi Aaron Box from Temple Beth Shalom here in Ocala, Florida. Back again for my podcast for this week. I'd like to welcome special guest, Reverend Dana Knapp. Hi, Dana. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Aaron. Good to be here.
Want to talk a little bit about I've been talking about Temple. I've mentioned Temple Beth Shalom and the Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary a number of times throughout my podcasts, and I wanted to invite Reverend Knapp in, and I hope to invite Reverend Hole in as well at some point to just sort of talk a little bit about what it is to be a part of the Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary. So let's start out with a little bit of history. So Temple Beth Shalom was founded around the mid 1980s, 86 I think, when there was a split off from another congregation, and they've moved a number of places, but recently in 2022, they joined in with the First Congregational United Church of Christ here to form the Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary, and Temple Beth Shalom is a Reformed congregation, a Reformed Jewish congregation, as I've mentioned before, and we are, open to all kinds of people. And one of the reasons that we are so excited to be in partnership with First Congregation United Church of Christ is because of their history and the significance of them in this community. So, Dana, do you want to just maybe speak for a minute or two about FCUCC?
Well, First Congregational was started as a new church development and has only had two pastors in its history. Our last pastor just retired after 15 years of service at the end of the year. And we were going through a self-study and determining if we wanted to stay in the building that we were in, which was on State Route 200, and felt we needed a new building, and had a planning committee and got introduced to Rabbi Harari, and with conversations between our pastor Hal and the rabbi, we decided that we would venture into this joint relationship with Temple Beth Shalom.
So let's talk about that. So we are one of, I think, three places in the entire world in which a Jewish congregation and a Christian congregation share a building. Now, for those of you out there that may think that it's all we have all one building and everything. Let me just sort of give background. So the temple and the church, we have our own separate sanctuaries. We have our own separate services. We have a nice socialized social hall in the middle, in which we're able to do programming together. Like we had a really successful dance this past Saturday night. And the Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary, which houses both the temple and the church, is made up of myself and Reverend Knapp, and Reverend Hull, who are proxy votes, or not proxy, we are ex officio votes. They ask our opinion, but they don't necessarily have to abide by what we say. We don't necessarily get a vote, but it's run. The board of the Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary is made up of members of the church and the synagogue. So basically, Ocala Tree of Life Sanctuary as an entity is run by the church and the synagogue, even though we rent the space from the foundation, if you will. So it's interesting. I've been here now for a little over a year and a half, and Reverend Knapp, how long have you been part of the church here?
The new building?
Or the church in general?
12 years.
12 years. So you have a lot more institutional memory than I do. So let me see if I can, sort of talk about this in a minute, and please feel free to jump in. So there was an informational group from the church and from the synagogue that got together, advised by Reverend Dr. Hal McSwain and Rabbi Harari, with the idea, and with the help of Ken Colin as well, with the idea of having these two congregations come together in one building. And was it easy?
No.
No. So, and it's still not easy.
It's still not.
It's a learning curve. We are learning to know each other. There's people say all the time, Christians and Jews, you have so much in common. Why can't you all get along? Well, that's true. We do have a lot in common. We have more in common than we have different. But I'll give you an example, and I'm sure you know this. The synagogue, we have two separate kitchens here at the sanctuary. The church has a kitchen, and the synagogue has a kitchen, and we have kosher laws, kosher rules, and we had to tell the church what that meant because that wasn't a part of your own idea. So, what are some things that in your experience, since we've been together for 2 years now, or we've had to learn about each other?
I think one of the important things that we learned was the language surrounding church growth and what kind of terminology we would use to describe our need to bring in newer members. And the word that we had originally, we had a committee on church growth and evangelism, and we decided that evangelism probably wasn't the best word to use in this situation. So we changed that committee to just plain church growth. And we're also learning about terminology that we use that might not be appropriate for the relationship, such as missions or missionary. So part of what's been exciting about this is being able to learn from each other about our differences and how we reconcile those and live together.
And that's it's important. When you talk about learning together and forming a foundational relationship based on trust, you have to have a willing partner.
That's right.
You have to have people who are willing to come to the table and say, "This is not right. This doesn't feel right," or "We're not sure how this feels. Let's talk about it." You used the word evangelism a few minutes ago, and in the non-Christian world, not just in the Jewish world, but the non-Christian world, we have an idea of what that means. We have this idea of going out into a place where there's not just Christians and bringing and making everybody Christian, right? I have not felt that in the least bit. What I've experienced, whether you want to use that word or not, what I've experienced is an overwhelming support from members of the church who have, like on October 7th happened. I can't tell you the number of times I had to say to someone, "Thank you so much for that hug, but I have something I have to get to." But the church members are just so graciously interested in being supportive. And for us, and by us I say here for the synagogue, I'm not sure that we understand what that means, right? So we have something on Friday nights we call Oneg Shabbat, which is a gathering after the service. Christians call it fellowship, right?
Right.
Anybody is welcome to come to our Oneg. We don't. To me, as a Jewish person, when I think of fellowship, I think of being in conversation with someone and just embracing them and supporting them. The idea of going out of my way to do that is not necessarily foreign to me, but it's just not a part of the psyche necessarily of being Jewish and in this country, I should say. So that is one thing that we've learned from the church that is it's a great lesson, how to be in your face supportive without being in your face supportive. Does that make sense?
Right.
What are some other things that you have really enjoyed about this partnership the last 2 years?
I think what's important about the partnership is that if you know anything about Marion County, you know that Marion County is a fairly conservative county. And part of us coming together was to be a model that people of different cultures, different religions can actually live together and to struggle through their differences in a mature adult way. And that's been a positive of this experience, which has allowed us to grow not only in our own understanding of our faith, but an understanding of the Jewish tradition in their faith.
In Marion County, in the middle of nowhere, Florida, horse country.
Yep.
Who would have thought, right? This little, we just passed Martin Luther King's birthday. We talk about a beacon of light and hope.
Yep.
When I first got here, I had a conversation with Reverend Dr. McSwain about FCUCC being an open and affirming church. And we had a very long conversation as to what that meant. Because in the Reformed Jewish world, we don't use that terminology, but we are. And it's what I mean by that is the dance on Saturday night. I loved looking out and seeing same-sex couples
dancing
together
themselves.
and enjoying themselves and in being safe.
Yep.
You know, um, that's something that we as a organization have in common. In Marion County, a safe place for people of all kinds to come, whether they're Christian or Jewish or whatever. I think that that's amazing. And so tell me, or tell us, what is the church looking for with regards to the next minister? Because you're interim, you're temporary.
Yeah, right now we have Reverend Hall and I are serving as kind of temporary pastors to lead us through this interim period. We are in the midst of a new pastoral search, and we would be looking for someone who can fit into and the current relationship that we have, and help us to grow even further in our relationship in terms of how we deal with each other and how we grow our own congregation.
So kind of like when the temple was interviewing me, one of the things that I was 100% turned on to about this place was the idea that a church and a synagogue were in the same building, and the opportunities that, because this is not, I can't say, I don't know of any of my colleagues that can say that they walk in every day to church and temple at the same time. So that's a tremendous opportunity for someone out there who,
That's what we think is our selling card.
Yeah.
Is that this is only one of 3 such relationships in the country, and it offers somebody an excellent opportunity.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am very I'm gratified. I'm thankful. I'm blessed every single day that I get to come here and share a partnership with you in the church, and I look forward to being even a small part of whatever your search is in the next year. And
you'll be included. You'll have the opportunity to know who's coming.
Wonderful. And I look forward to many more opportunities for us to grow together.
It's an exciting time.
Well, Dana, Reverend Knapp, thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron. It's good to be here.
And I'll see you all next week.